Hi. Yeah. Okay, that was the weirdest thing. Am I like banned from Instagram? What is happening?
I don't know. Do you go live a lot?
No. Okay, so I guess for anyone who's watching, I just tried to start a live and Instagram was like, you are banned from this action until August 8th. What? I don't even go live. Like I'm so confused. So
well, we're live here. We'll have the conversation here, and I mean, the conversation's a conversation. I think it's one that we are both passionate about. So I'll kick it off, I guess. So we connected because the first time I actually saw you was when the Birds Papaya had reposted some of your thoughts. And I was like, who's this girl? I need to know who she is. So I started following you and really appreciate how well you use your voice. And it's not just to talk, but you're really passionate about educating people when it comes to body love, body positivity, the whole journey, mental health, all of that. And I think a lot of the conversations that you start and that you are a part of are the ones that people are afraid to have. And you, like, I've watched you a couple times. I'm like, this girl has no fear. And it is so admirable. And I know that likely is not what it was always like. And you probably started somewhere. But I think, like, hats off to you for saying the things that so many people think about and don't actually want to say. And for doing all you do. So I guess because we're on my channel, why don't you introduce who you are and what you do so people know you?
Okay, well, everything you said was just really nice, and I appreciate that. And total disclosure, I just woke up from a nap, so I'm kind of like in a weird la-la land right now. So,
and I'm like crazy high energy because I just taught a class. So
amazing, perfect balance of energy.
Yeah.
Okay, yeah, me. I'm Rafaela. I'm in Alberta, so opposite sides of the country, which is in Canada, if people don't get that part. And what else? I'm 24. I'm a university student taking psychology. And how did I end up on the internet? Great question. Yeah, I just pissed off enough like famous internet people that people started like listening to me. And then I was like, holy shit, what's happening? And then I just haven't stopped talking. So my thing's kind of like, I like to talk about mental illness because I have those. Like a body image, fat acceptance, like thin body positivity, if that's kind of a term, I don't know, body equality. And as you said, yeah, talking about the shit that people kind of don't really want to talk about. And it's like when you said like fearless, I'm like, ooh, maybe I need to have more fear. Like maybe I need to like,
no, I don't think so.
Stop.
I don't think so.
But yeah, that's me.
So how much longer do you have left in school?
I was hoping originally to finish this fall, but Corona. So I have a few months. I'm in my last year. So however long that takes me to kind of get done, we're almost there. We're almost there, but we don't have a set date yet. It's whenever we get through it. You know what I mean?
Yeah. And from when we chatted, so I was like, let's just have a conversation. So we had a Zoom call because that's how life is right now. And you said you're not sure quite yet what you're going to do with your education. You just are figuring out how you're going to use your voice. And I think that it's really cool that you can actually say, I'm not really sure yet, and I'm figuring it out, because I think with everything is a journey, and there's so much that we learn in the process that it's not a bad thing. You're going to learn things along the way to figure out what it is you want to do. Like, I'm still doing the same thing with my business in like, where do I fit? How do I make the biggest difference? Right. And it's not a bad thing. And I think even just talking about the fact that you're not sure is a good thing, because other people may relate to that part of the story, right? When it comes to, what do I do with my life?
Yeah. And that's so relevant. And even saying like, oh, when are you done? It's like, I have so much shame in that, which I know so many people have so much shame in that. Like, I started university in like 2014. Oh my God, that is so long ago, and I hate it. And I'm so embarrassed to say that. But I mean, it doesn't make, I'm learning or trying to accept, it doesn't make me less of a person or less of like an academic if I'm taking my time, but if it's taking me more time, or right, if I don't know what exactly I want to do, like for so long I was like, I need to be a scientist, and now I'm like, shit, I really like having these conversations like with you and being able to have the tough conversations that people don't want to have. And I'm like, okay, is there something there? Is there something I can do here? It's like I'm currently making $0.0. So I'm like, okay, this is also good. And I feel like you're right. I think it is okay to kind of talk about like the messiness of this shit, right?
Because I think often when it comes to social media, people are like, oh, she posts pretty pictures. Her life is pretty imperfect. And it's not. For either of us. Right? And so it's like, let's just keep having truth talks. What is reality? And finding other ways to relate to other people so women don't feel alone and they can have those conversations, because out of the place of vulnerability brings so much growth, and so much figuring out, and we learn so much from each other from our stories as well. I think that's my favorite part about like meeting new people. Like when I would model, I would go to New York a lot, and my favorite thing while we were getting our hair and makeup done was like, so what's your story? How did you get here today? Why are you here? Like, what led you to today? Because everybody's story is so unique, and I think it's so fascinating, and we can learn so much from other people.
Love that.
Right? Yeah. So we connected when we were talking. We talked about, so I own a gym, for those who don't know. I mean, if you're on my page, you probably do know that. And because of Corona, we're offering virtual classes 6 days a week. And because you are on the other side of the country, now that I'm offering virtual, it means that you can join and participate in classes. But that brought up other conversations about those who are intimidated by fitness, whether it's going into an actual space or learning to move your body or not having any idea what to do, or having really disordered thinking when it comes to your body image, fitness, taking care of yourself, because both of us in our stories, we have had the extremes. So when I was 21, I did 3 hours of cardio 6 days a week, threw up after every workout, got to my smallest in 6 months, and absolutely hated myself still. And it was learning that it doesn't matter what's on the outside. I have to be happy with who I am in order for life to be fulfilled. But then you have the opposite spectrum of, I'm just going to do nothing and not take care of myself. And then you run into the dangers of being on that all or nothing. It's black or white, and not living in the gray. And it's finding that balance of what feels good for you and what builds your life the way that you want it to be, and what makes you feel your best so you can do that. Right?
Yeah. Yeah. I don't even know how we got into that. Like, how did we even start? Like, we were just like chatting like homies, like, hey, what's up? We both have the same like morals and values. I love this, yeah. Right? And then I don't even know how we got into like, well, obviously you own a gym, so that's probably how that happened.
But it wasn't intended to. That wasn't like where we started the conversation.
Yeah. Right. That's exactly. I don't even know how we got here. But I think it's such an important conversation, and it isn't a conversation I've had publicly yet, which is interesting and scary, and I think so valuable that we're here right now doing this, and we're not just having a private chat, because I know that I am not the only person who feels this way or has ever felt this way. And I think it's just so important that we reduce the stigma surrounding all these different aspects of moving your body, or how movement is related to diet culture, and trying to like disconnect those two. And as you were saying, is like we have like the like restriction, like super heavy diet culture, then we have like ignoring it completely. And my dietitian, she says you go from like diet land to donut land, and I was like, oh my god. And that's what happened to me when I kind of was rejecting diet culture and being like, holy shit, all of this is just for like capitalism and to shrink women and the patriarchy. I was like, fuck that. And I went to donut land, where I'm like, I can eat whatever I want, and fuck movement, and fuck like exercising. I'm sorry if I'm swearing so much. I'm like, meh, 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 meh. You know, I went that way. I went the way of like, fuck everything, fuck society. I'm doing and now I'm like kind of coming back to the middle is what my dietitian says. Like, you don't really stay in donut land. Like, you have to go there and then you kind of like find the spot in the middle. And I'm kind of doing that where it's like, okay, I still reject diet culture and I still want to take care of myself and my body and through therapy. So I'm like an intensive therapy program right now where I go to therapy every day. So I do a lot of therapy. So when I say like, oh, my therapist, like that's why. And so my therapist kind of pointed out to me that I try to ignore my body. I used to just wear like the same sweater and leggings every day, throw my hair in a pony. Like I would try to ignore my body as much as possible.
Mm-hmm.
And that also relates to my own self-care. So when it comes to like taking care of my body, I just tried to completely ignore it because it's like, oh, I just can't even think about my body and it's fine, right? Like even something as simple as like lotion. If I had dry skin, I wouldn't even like worry about it. I'm like, whatever, it doesn't matter. It's like not important. Instead of like taking these moments of care towards myself,
Mm-hmm.
and that relates also with me for food and movement. So because I'm still in my eating disorder. I'm not recovered, which is interesting because I don't know many people who are in that space. I feel like most people, or at least people that I follow, are like in recovery and this is my journey. I'm like, no, I am in this shit.
Yeah.
And so it's really hard for me to kind of continually like resist against diet culture while wanting to nourish my body. And right now I'm learning that, like, you know what, I do want to take care of myself because I can't yell at the people on the internet if I'm not nourishing myself. That's something like I have to say, like, what is my body doing for me? Like, I can't have this conversation with you if I'm not okay, if my body's not okay. And so, like, even for my own advocacy and activism, we need to take care of Rafaela and the body that carries her.
Mm-hmm.
And movement is a big part of that. Like as I said, I'm doing like a Bachelor of Science, so I've learned a lot about, the benefits of movement, even on your own mental health and your psyche and all of those things. And I'm like, okay, I know it's so good and it could really help with my own anxiety. And I think of exercise or I think of a gym and I immediately think of, what does my body look like? Okay, I need to run fast, go hard. Like even I went to a slow yoga class and I was like, why am I even here? Like I'm not, going hard, hard, hard. Like this is such a waste of time. And I had to stop myself and I was like, Rafaela, we are here experiencing joyful movement.
Yeah.
And there is a purpose, even if I'm not on the treadmill going like hard, 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 right? And so I just talked a lot, but that's kind of, I guess, my perspective going into this is like, I really want to take care of my body by incorporating movement, but I'm so scared and intimidated, like you said, that it's just going to bring all those restrictive thoughts back, or all the thoughts of diet culture, of shrinking myself. And I don't know how to do it. And so I'm really hoping that you can help guide me in this space and offer your expertise. Like, okay, how can we help our bodies, our minds through movement without it being within diet culture?
Yeah. No, 100%. And I think it's interesting because when you go through that whole like pendulum swing, basically, right? It's almost like you're figuring out what your value and your worth is. And when you get to that place, then you start thinking, okay, if I know that I'm valuable and worthy, what do I need to do to make myself feel the best? And so it is 100% a perspective shift where you're not going to be focusing on what your body looks like, but you're going to be focusing on how your body feels, which is the exact reason why I opened and I do what I do, because I've lived it, right? Like I was on a diet at the age of 10, right? Like my whole life I was dieting, and it was like torture. And it was like constantly, the message that's constantly being told is you're not enough. You need to change. You can't be the way that you are. You should look like this. You should do this, all those kinds of things. So when you go into an experience or a space that is safe, like mine, you eliminate those conversations and those pressures, so they're not even part of the equation. So I will talk during a class, especially now that it's virtual. It's very different. I'm working out with you, so you see a plus size body moving and doing different things with different modifications, but there's never conversation about, we're doing this so you lose weight. We're doing this so that you look like this. It really is all about empowering you. And as I talk through classes, it's the reason we're doing this is because this is going to help build your strength in your biceps or whatever, which is going to help you do X, Y, and Z in life. Or having a strong core is not about having six-pack abs. It's about having a really strong center of your body so you can do the things you want to do. If you want to go for a hike, you can go for a hike. If you want to move your own home, move your own home. Like whatever it is for you, you're focusing on those. So it's almost like shifting the perspective of what we've been told we need to fit into to how do I just live my optimal, right? And it is a very, very big shift, and it does take work, but it's what I have the same messages over and over and over again, because we have to retrain our brains. I talk a lot about it doesn't start from the outside, it actually starts from the inside. So when I was 30, I actually had, just before I turned 30, I left an abusive marriage. And he was emotionally and sexually abusive, stripped me of all of who I was. And I had to go through this whole rebuilding process of figuring out, who am I? And am I amazing or am I shitty? And I found out I was pretty amazing. But I had to re-record the take the plate in my head. So before it was, you're fat, you're ugly, you're not good enough, you're never going to do anything good. And I had to use affirmations to replace that negative self-talk so that my go-to is now a positive. And then it grows from there. And there's so many things you can do, which you probably know a lot about, in replacing the things that you're typically doing to be the one of a positive. And that changes your narrative, right? And it changes your priorities. It shifts the direction you want to go into things. But if you were to go into a regular gym that was all about diet culture, you're going to hear it. You're going to be hearing it over and over and over and over, which is why it is so important to have a space that women like us can go to, that you're not hearing those conversations. You're hearing the ones to build you up and walk you through and have understood what it's like to walk through it, because it's a process, right? And that's the thing too. I think when it comes to like the fitness world, it's like, the goal is to look like this. That's your goal. No, why don't you have your goals of, okay, so if you, right now, you can't walk, I'm not saying you specifically, but if you can't walk for half an hour, that can be one of your goals. You want to be able to walk for half an hour comfortably without any pain. If you're not sleeping well, you want to incorporate movement so that you're getting proper rest. Or what about if your mental health is an issue? Having fitness as part of like your therapy, right? Like there's so many different things that it can benefit. And I think people are often surprised as they start doing classes. Like we just wrapped up a week of our challenge, and women are like, I'm surprised, number one, I can do any of this stuff, that I feel this good, and that like I feel so amazing about myself in 1 week, right? And that's when you change the narrative, you shift the perspective, you stop talking about the shitty stuff, you start talking about the good stuff, things start to shift. And it's a process, and you continue in it. But it's clearly, I'm very passionate about the topic because I've journeyed through it, and we can live in a place where we are at peace with ourselves, with our body, the relationship with it, and how we relate to ourselves as well as others, and move in this world. Like for a woman who doesn't love herself, she's not going to go on that date. She's not going to try and go for that promotion. She's not going to try and do things she wants to do, wear a swimsuit, like all those things, like they make a difference in someone's life. And as you do small little steps, they add up to big changes. And I think that that is the biggest thing, is it's not having this all or nothing mentality. Make small changes, stay consistent, focus on you.
I think that's really massive. Like even I've been learning that I kind of think in the all or none myself of like, oh, I'm either healthy or I'm not healthy. Like, oh, I ate something deemed bad, I'm gonna go all for it, right? Which there is no bad food, good foods. Like I'm trying to relearn all these different aspects of health and beauty and fitness and blah 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 blah. And I'm nervous for my own thoughts, but I love where you are at, and I love I love the mentality of like, oh, I'm doing this so that like, yeah, my sleep is better, or maybe I'm not so out of breath on that walk with my boyfriend, or like, you can do more things, feel better. And I just really want, I'm really scared that I'm going to focus on my appearance or like slip into those thoughts. And I think that's something I just need to be open about. And oh yeah, so I guess, okay, I didn't even say it. So I really want to try this whole movement thing. I
Yeah.
really want to test it out. And I've never, like, I've tried going to like, the standard gym a few times, and just I feel so uncomfortable, and like, like I don't belong there, and like other people know I don't belong there. And so that when we were talking, I said like, oh, I wish we had something like your gym here, but you're so far away. And you said that you were having like online classes. I'm like, shit, that could change like everything, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So
So we
what are you guys doing, I guess?
So classes, I run classes 6 days a week, so there's one every day. We record all our classes, so if people can't make like a live class, they can do the recording, or if they prefer not to be on a live recording, like some people are just like, I just don't want to be on a live recording. They don't have to be. Also, you can turn your camera off so no one ever sees you. So there's lots of options so that you feel comfortable and you're in your own home or your space that you feel safe, right? And we focus mostly on strength. So we have an upper body strength day, lower body, full body. We have a class called Sweat Sesh, and it's just a cardio class, and we provide modifications for everything. So I know that I've gone to a gym before and I have injuries. I was in a car accident 10 years ago, and when I started working out, I had to modify, and it made a huge difference in figuring out what modifications I do. So I show them ahead of time before we start, so you kind of know where you're at. You pick what feels comfortable, and as you get stronger, you can maybe progress, or you just focus on moving your body. We always start with a warm-up or an activation, so just to get your heart rate going, warm up those muscles. The actual workout is usually about 35 to 40 minutes, including rest breaks, so a little bit more rest than what most boot camp classes would offer. And then at the end, we always have a stretching session. So oftentimes I will give some reflection during stretching to take the focus just off our bodies, but also on our mind and our heart, because I think that's really important. And then we usually have time to, like, if you have a question or you want to chat with the community, you'll be able to see them on Zoom afterwards. And it really is just, we try and make it simple for you. You don't really need much equipment. If you have dumbbells, that's great. You can also use things around the house like laundry detergent, books, like you can fill a backpack full of stuff. Like there's so many things that can be used, and it doesn't have to be expensive, right? And it's really just moving your body and having somebody who understands what it's like to move a body that is plus size. So making space for our bellies and our boobs and our thick thighs, right? Because that is a little bit different than somebody who doesn't have them. And I don't yell. None of my trainers yell. So I always tell people when they start, take rest when you need rest, honor your body. If your body's like, no, hell no, listen to it. Your body's going to tell you what it needs, rather than pushing and like torturing yourself. That does not help you. That leads to injury. So it's also a lot about education. So a lot of women are really intimidated by lifting weights because they haven't been shown how to do it. So we talk a lot about form. We talk a lot about how to move your body and the different pieces. And I have cues all throughout teaching so that like you're mindful of, make sure your shoulders are back and down. Keep your core engaged. What does that mean? Right? Like all those kinds of things so that you feel strong and confident while you're working out, and then it goes into your everyday life. So that's what classes look like. We have right now virtual memberships to join live, and then you get access to the recordings. And we're constantly evolving and that kind of thing too, but we are staying virtual for sure. COVID has actually been a really cool opportunity to be able to reach more women like you who would be on the other side of the country. So it really is just figuring out what works for you. And you may have some classes you prefer over others, and do those, right? Like there's no rules necessarily. My only rule is rules are really like honor your body, listen to it, and just make sure you're in proper form, which we'll coach you through because it's important just so you don't injure yourself, and just have an open mind. That's
I
really,
love that. Okay, so I would love to try and kind of
yep,
dip my toe in the waters of movement and be very open with you about that and just kind of
yeah,
like, walk this walk with you. And I also told my dietitian about it already, and I said like, okay, I'm thinking about like adding more movement in. And at first she was really nervous, like, I don't know if you're ready for that,
yeah.
just like from like a mental health
Mhm.
standpoint and like, diet culture standpoint. And I said to her, I said, I'll be really open with her as well. I meet with her
Yeah,
every week. So if I'm finding that my thoughts are going more towards restriction, that's something her and I will talk about, something you and I can talk about,
yeah,
right? I can say like, hey, Sarah, like I'm feeling this about my body. And maybe you'll say, oh, maybe we'll do this movement a different way so that you're not thinking of your body in that way. Or
yeah,
we'll do this, or we'll talk about it. I
yeah,
think I just want to be very open about the obstacles and barriers that so many people face and that I'm facing right now, because I really want these benefits, and I want to honor my body and myself. And as
mm,
you said, it's a worth thing. It's like
yeah,
when you come to a place of like, shit, maybe I'm worthy of movement. Maybe I'm worthy of
feeling
feeling
amazing.
good,
Yeah,
right?
exactly.
And that's exactly it. So I'm very scared, but I think this is kind of the perfect place to start. You know what I
Yeah.
mean?
Well, and I think too, so a lot of times when people are starting to get into movement or fitness, they're like, okay, I'm going to work out 5 days a week. And no, we'll start slow. If you start with one class a week, start with one class a week, right? Like something you want to try and build your consistency and your strength, but you don't go balls to the wall. That's not how you build a life that's going to work for you.
Yes.
It's like
And see,
anything,
that's so
right? Like,
different for me, right? I'm like, I used to be like that. I'm like, we're being healthy, great. We're gonna go full force into
yeah,
it. And it's like, yeah, you're right. That's not so how is that sustainable to go from like 0 to 100? Like,
and stay
so
there.
even if, right, and even if I do, let's say, start with like once a week, I'm being able to like not feel ashamed of that. Like, oh, everyone else is going every single day, but being like, okay, like this is my journey, and maybe this is where I'm
Exactly.
gonna start for now. And even just getting used to the routine of incorporating it into my life, or having, this movement slowly coming into my daily routine or weekly routine.
Yeah.
And I think it's just, I would love to keep having these combos. Like, I don't know how often you'd want to do this. I mean, if you're interested, you could
Yeah,
like be
no,
like,
because
Bella,
I
fuck
think
off.
it's, I think it would be, no, no, no. I think it'd be really cool to have these conversations because you're not the only one who's going through this, right? So I think
Mhm.
for your audience who connects with you, for them to be able to see, oh, she's going through this, I can relate to this and that. And who knows, you may even have followers who be like, I've done this, this, and this helped me. Like, there's so many
Yeah.
ways that this could go. And I think it's a conversation to continue to be had. Like, I'm not going nowhere, and we want to do this in a way that your mental health is going to stay intact and that is going to work for you long term, because
Yeah.
fitness isn't just about like, okay, I'm going to work out for the next 3 weeks. Like, the benefits of being active come from consistency and from doing it regularly, because that's how we build our strength, that's how we feel better. Like, if I just stopped working out, I probably wouldn't sleep well. My mental health would be a wreck. Like, all of
Yeah.
those things, right? It's part of self care, really, is what it is. And I think the conversation about your value and your worth is when you see your value and your worth, you want to do what it takes to make yourself feel the best. And so, what are those things for you? If that includes like journaling or reading, spending time with your friends and your family is part of that. Movement can be part of that. Journaling, like there's so many things, and it's finding like what works for you. And then even when it comes to like food and nutrition, like I'm also not a fan of diet culture. I was on a diet at 10, like I said, right? But for me, there are certain foods I have to stay away from, but I also have to be careful in that whole conversation of I can't have this, because it can take me to an extreme if I'm not careful.
Mm-hmm.
And I have to continually do the work of, if I have this, so for me, like things like wheat and dairy, I get really sick. I have the runs. It is not pleasant. My
See, that's
pain
a different
skyrockets,
conversation though, right? Like even
right?
someone said to me, like, what about allergies? I'm like, oh my God, of course, if you're allergic to
Yeah.
something, like don't. Like but there's a difference between,
Yes.
right? That's a massive difference of like, does this make my body feel good? And like, oh, I'm not supposed to eat this. Oh, this
Yeah.
is bad.
Yeah.
Like that's that's completely different. It's like, even if there's something like healthy, good food that doesn't make my body feel good, or I don't enjoy it,
Yeah.
why would I force myself to eat it, right? So I think it's
Yeah.
really reframing, and it's unlearning and relearning, and there's so much in it. And yeah, to be able to kind of like document this journey, I don't know how, I don't know what, but because I think I just have never had a conversation like this publicly ever, like honestly never.
Yeah.
And I just I can't be the only one, like, right, you've said
No,
that
you're
you
not.
like want to diet at 10, so I'm like, why are we not speaking up about this? I feel like there's just so much shame in the fitness industry. I mean, if you go on Instagram and type in fitness, like, guess what you're gonna freaking
Yeah.
see? You're gonna see like a bunch of bullshit, I'll tell you that. So
Yeah.
I think to be able to like reclaim, like, hey, actually fitness and health and movement can be for all bodies and not just these certain type of bodies.
Yeah, exactly. It's I like when I started out as a model, and so I was passionate about like having representation of sizes. But now as a trainer, it's like, no, I want to show up in spaces where people can say she's plus size, but oh, she can move her body, right?
Yeah.
Like, and that fitness isn't a size, right? Like I just had my third commercial release with Sport Check. Like the fact that they're showing diversity of a plus size trainer and allowing me to share my voice on their platform is massive, right? Like it's a national brand, and people are starting to take notice, and I'm not going to be quiet.
Yay, let's not be quiet. Let's keep
No.
talking and making sounds and pissing people
Yeah.
off and
Yeah,
getting banned
exactly.
from Instagram Live or whatever the hell I did. I don't know what I forget.
So we'll wrap up, but I think it's good to just end saying, like, we are going to continue this conversation, and I think it's important to say that we are going to continue honest conversation. So when we chatted, I said to you, if we get started and it becomes too much and you need to scale back, we're going to have a conversation, because
Yeah.
your mental health is the priority. And making sure that we're careful that you don't go to an extreme. So I think it's important to make sure we do talk about that. Of it's not like we're getting to this destination. This is going to be a journey, and I think talking about it will help you and it will help others. And I'm happy to help navigate as I can, because like I've been through it myself and still go through like the whole conversation of not going into diet culture as a model, and you know what I mean, like all those things, right? And the importance of maintaining your own mental health so that you're leading out of a place of strength and not of weakness.
Yeah.
So
And I love what you said about like it's a journey. It's not a destination. I feel like that really hit me. I'm like, shit, it's not just like, okay, we started, that's it. You know, it's like, no, it's going to be a progression, and maybe there's going to be a point where I have to like slow down a little bit. And I think, you know, as long as like, if my mental health is kind of in an icky place, I can say to you, like, you know, it's not stopping. It's just like slowing down or modifying or seeing what's happening and then going back.
yeah,
Like, I don't want it to be like, okay, then we'll stop and it's all done. It's like, no, like, as you said, it's a
just
lifelong
figure it out.
thing. It's a lifelong thing. And it's going to be like how to navigate it, not just like, are we doing this or not? But like, let's work with it.
Exactly.
Right.
Like if you're in a high stress, so say it's like exam time and you're like super stressed. First of all, working out will probably help you relieve stress. But second of all, you also have to make sure that you have time to actually rest, because stress on your body has a huge impact, and making sure that you are getting rest is important. Like working out 7 days a week is not a healthy thing. Like part of being healthy and maintaining your fitness is resting so your body can recover, right? And not assigning any guilt to, oh shit, I missed a workout, I'm a horrible person because of it, right? Because a lot of people have done that, and that is not a healthy place to go. Yeah.
Yeah, no,
So I
right.
think
That's
it'll
not
be
good for your mental health. It's a
no.
shame to shame yourself as a human. Like, who you are is bad
Yeah,
because of something that happened. Like,
exactly. Yeah. Well,
yeah.
I'm excited to do this journey with you, and thank you for being open and honest and exploring this. I think it's exciting, and we will go slow and careful.
Well, thank you. And I don't know, let's plan another time to talk to see like when we wanna do the thing
Yeah,
and get it all started. And it's scary and I'm excited all at the same time, and we're all in this together.
Yeah, 100%. You're not alone.
Thank you, my friend.
You're welcome. Have a great rest of your night. Oh,
You
it's
too. We'll
kind of early.
talk soon.
Yeah, I'll talk to you soon.
Bye.
Bye.